I want to talk about what it's like to be a new shooter. So I've been doing this for 4 years. So yeah, why would I say, how would I know what it's like to be a new shooter? Because I'm a new shooter. Every time I hit the range, I have an open mind. I'm looking for more information. I'm looking to learn from someone else, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes there's going to be times when you learn from somebody and you learn what not to do, not just what to do. There are going to be conversations that you have with people of all levels that is going to have a breakthrough, give you a breakthrough. So I'll give you an example. I went to class this weekend and I contradict myself a lot in a class because shooting is, you contradict yourself a lot, and I'll explain why. When you have a sport like this that is so scenario based, right? And I had a saying once, I haven't used it in a long time because no one's asked, but I had a saying once where I had a bunch of buddies that when I was first starting to like coach and get my training stuff together and really understand how to do this, they asked me, what's faster, running forward or running backwards? And I said to them, I said, running forward is always faster until it's not. And they used to laugh at me because I would say stuff like that all the time. And because really nothing in life do you contradict yourself like you do in this sport. And the reason why is because it's scenario based. You know, if I tell you to stand on one leg and jump out of bounds, you might do that once in a lifetime, but what if you needed that, right? So you can't say that it's not the fastest way because you don't know until you're presented that scenario. So as I'm going through training this class, I tell everybody at the beginning of the class, I'm going to contradict myself a lot. So as I'm talking, going through the class, I kind of know when I contradict myself because I've been doing the classes for so long that I know how it works. Like I know the areas where it's like I'm yelling at somebody to go faster, but then I go to another guy and I tell him to focus more and just don't go as fast or whatever it is. And then another guy's like, well, I don't understand. Like, you told me to go faster. I'm like, yeah, you go faster. The other guy needs to focus on accuracy a little bit more. So you tend to sound like you're contradicting yourself when you're really not. But here's where that story was really important to me. If I would have just said, whatever, that guy, he just didn't understand me. But instead, I gave him a 10-minute conversation, or we had a 10-minute conversation at the end of the class about how I could explain that better, or where I was making a mistake as a coach in communication. So if I would have been closed-minded and said, my way is the way, I would have lost him. He wouldn't have understood what I meant by that. So by the time we were done with our conversation, he was like, that makes sense, I understand. So again, I'm a new shooter. Every single time I go to a class, every time I go to a match, every time I have a private lesson, I'm learning from my students, even if it's not just shooting, but just the coaching, how to communicate better. I'm always a new shooter. So today, I posted a video of my stage runs where I shaved off 2 seconds off my stage. From Sunday to Monday, I shaved off 2 seconds because of one reason. When I was practicing, okay, I got it down to like 16, just a little bit around 15 seconds, something like that, when I shot it. Well, my student, who I've been training now for probably a couple months in my insider circle, and she watches a lot of videos and she's very detailed. It's just her trying to do the details now is the funny part. She saw me raising my body or moving my body too much, something that I always preach about trying not to do. But I was doing it. See, it's the thing, it's easier to say and see it than it is to do it yourself. So as I'm talking to her, she told me, and I said, damn it, you're right. Now I feel it. I focused on it and I could feel that movement that was causing me time. But if I would have not listened to her, if I would not have listened to that, if I wouldn't have come into that class as a new shooter, I would never have gotten that breakthrough. And one thing about a grandmaster, okay, especially grandmasters that are at the top. Well, I'm trying to get to the top, but especially the guys that are at the top, the breakthroughs for us are very small. So when you find a big breakthrough, they're big, like giant, like massive numbers come off your time. They're giant breakthroughs. The only way you find those is if you stay a new shooter in your mind and you're constantly hungry to find new things. You never get locked into one way. Never get locked into one way. There's always another way. There's a way, not the way. That's the way I coach. That's the way I teach. It's a way, not the way. By thinking like that, I can always grow my shooting. I can always grow as a coach. So when you guys are out running your stages, practicing, doing all these things, don't get stuck with the way. Look around, pay attention. This is why a lot of guys will go to multiple coaches and not just one guy, because they'll find little pieces off of each person. This is why you'll see a lot of coaches, a lot of guys that train and coach will go to other coaches and learn their system or learn how they do things. But if you stay closed-minded, you don't learn a damn thing. And that's why you stay at the level that you're at and get frustrated and eventually quit, or just say to yourself, oh, I'm just here to have fun, which you know you're lying. You want to win? Winning is fun. All right, guys, if you have any questions, hit me up in those comments, and I'll see you on the range.